Aloha, and thank you for joining us for the Young and the Old, the Made by Native Hawaiian special series. I'm Michael Keanui Goodrich for the young.
Kamawela Price for the old.
Now, tonight we're very thankful and honored to have our guest, Mr. Tom Kahalelaukoa Todd, who has brought on his terrific display of different types of gourds and different sizes and different displays. And Todd, thank you so much for coming on our show tonight and just coming to share your life's work, really.
It's my pleasure, Ken. I'm very happy to bring these over to show you what can be done with the gourds. It's an art form that was founded by Captain Cook when on one of his early voyages. It was an art form that was done only on Niihau of all islands. They don't do it anymore, and there were several gourds that Captain Cook had taken back to England, and they're in the museums in England. And
you mean, Tom, that when Captain Cook came here, he found the people doing these gourds?
Doing the gourds, yes, and the art form, which this is the traditional form, not the mining. I do that. Traditional look with the angles or the triangles incorporated into each other. I added the paint to give it a little luster to it.
Well, Tom, you know, I noticed something over there. That's what you end up with. Show us what you start here with. That's sort of
this is the gourd that comes out of the field. As you can see, the leaf of the gourd is still stuck to it. It just dries in the field like this. And you have to take it and clean it. And
before we get real in depth on the gourds, let's find out a little bit about your experience. Now, you had mentioned that the first time you really got interested and saw them was in San Francisco.
Yes, it was about 12 years ago. I was passing through on a business trip, and I was walking along Grant Avenue. I believe that's the street. And I saw an artisan on the street corner with gourds laid out on the sidewalk, and he had a gourd and he was cleaning it, and I stood there and I watched him, and I said, gee, those look like gourds. And he said, that's exactly what they are. And he had put these different designs, contemporary designs, his own designs.
Right.
And it was done so well, and I said, gee.
So you came home and
then
thought about it a bit.
Thought about it.
And then you actually went back to San Francisco.
I happened to be passing through again a year later, and he was there again on the sidewalk. This time I talked to him more in depth, and I told him probably the hardest thing to do is to get the gourd. How do you get the gourds? And he gave me that information. And I came back to Honolulu and decided that after a couple of weeks, I decided to go to a Mission Museum to see what did Hawaiians do with the gourd. And I found that this is called umeke. They used calabashes and the water bottle, and it was endless, and I couldn't
umeke. Umeke, that means the holder, or what
container.
Is it? The container. The umeke.
Umeke.
So you saw when you went to the Bishop Museum, they had some umeke.
They had it, yes.
Right.
And I was surprised. And when I was in Kauai, I noticed when I passed by that the Kauai Museum has a very large selection of ipu pavehi is what this is called. This is ipu pavehi, meaning decorated gourd.
Because I noticed when you say decorated gourd, you know, I've been out to the museum and I've seen they have some very nice ones, but they have no decoration on them. Right. They look more like they were painted. Is that painted or varnished or something?
Well, depending on what the display you're looking at, there is also a display up there with the New Zealand gourds, which are painted. They stain there. It's you may have saw that. I did not see any people pavehi up there. It's in Kauai Museum.
So you came back after your second trip from San Francisco.
Yes.
And you have been doing the ipu designs for how long now?
Oh, close to 10 years.
Close to 10 years.
Close to 10
Beautiful.
years.
You know, the way that I actually met Tom was that I had just got a haircut, and I saw that there was a crafts fair going on. I ran across the street. I was late to go somewhere, but I said, you know, I want to find out if there's any Hawaiian crafts people here. And so I went through very quickly, and I met Tom, and I said, Tom, you're someone that we've been looking for a while, who does the ipu, and would you please be on the show? And so if there's anyone watching now that does a Hawaiian craft, please give us a call, because, you know, this is what we do. We open it up to Native Hawaiians, craftspeople who are interested in coming on to the show. So if you do a craft, or if your husband or wife does a craft, yeah, give them a little nudge and just say, you know, hey, honey, get on this show. This is an opportunity for you.
Well,
so thank you so much.
Let's get back now. I think the real interesting thing is we start over here with the raw
beginning?
gourd.
Right.
And it has
right.
a leaf on it, and it doesn't look like much. It looks like it might just come out of a fire or something.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do to it? What is the first step you take with that gourd now to start to make it something that would be usable?
First, you get a big pan, the one you put the pig in, when you get from the emo, those big pans, and you stick this in the water. And of course, you would do it probably.
How long does it have to stay in the water?
I keep it overnight.
Overnight. Okay.
You can put it in the morning and take it out in the afternoon, and scrub it with steel wool.
Steel wool.
Yeah, when you put it in, you're going to have to put a wire over it with a tile on it because it'll bounce back up. It's very buoyant.
So you have to hold it down because it's buoyant.
Yeah.
I see.
And
now
that loosens it.
That loosens all that out of it. Now when you get the next step. Okay, excuse me, Michael, you were going to ask something.
Where would this gourd, or where do your gourds come from?
Most of them come from Mexico and California.
And it's the reason for that, Tom, I understand the reason for that is that they would grow them here, but they just gather so many bugs that they've lost the technique of being able to grow them. Is that about it?
That is correct. That is correct. Yes.
But you actually have started a little experimentary growing on the Big Island.
Yes, I own some property on Big Island, and I grew some gourds, and that's them right there, the small ones.
These here?
Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's from my property, and this one right here.
Well, that's a small one, but how long does it take a small one to get to be a big one like that?
Well, it's a different variety now.
Oh, different variety. Okay.
This would be the small variety. This would be the large.
Well, have you ever grown any of the larger ones here?
I did in my backyard. This is it right here.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I live in Foster Village, and I grew this in my backyard.
And how long did it take it to get to that size?
About 4 months.
So actually, in 3 or 4 months, you've got a crop.
But you see, this is the fruit fly bites. See it?
The fruit fly bites. I thought those were decorations. So what if it did have the fruit fly bites? What does that do to
when you
hurt it?
turn it over, this is a finish of this. That's what it'll look like. See?
Oh, I see. It will leave those little spots in them.
It'll leave little spots, but it doesn't look that bad, does it?
No, it looks handsome, to be truthful with you. That side looks handsome that you decorated. I don't know about that other side.
Yeah,
that
well,
ain't too
I would
handsome.
clean this off with the steel wool, too. This is a traditional design right here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Those traditional designs are sort of strange. Do you have any idea what they mean, or are they just lost in antiquity?
It's been lost. Like I say, this art form has been it's over 200 years old, and there's no records.
Bigger gourds like this, what is their name and what is their use?
These are big gourds. Each gourd has got a little. Oh, too bad we couldn't get this on camera.
Oh, no,
Well, it may be too small in the printing.
This,
so you have a little handout
yeah,
on
handout
each
that
gourd.
comes with the gourd. Each gourd that I make, I put one of these in so that
So when the person gets it, they know something
they know
about...
exactly what the gourd is all about, where it came from, and these are called Piagerias. That's the scientific name. Ipo, which means gourd in Hawaiian. I just call them gourds or ipos. That's the variety of these gourds.
So each one is from a little different family. Now we have, I mean, this is a very round one. This one almost looks like a pumpkin.
Yeah, well, there's the slang word of they call it tobacco box.
Ah, well, I see that
Or
you've made
canteen.
a very beautiful box out of this one here.
Yeah,
And you said you cut this with an X-Acto knife?
X-Acto saw. Yeah, it's a little saw. Yeah.
Oh, with a saw. Is
little
it kind
saw,
of
it's a
brittle
hand-
to work with then?
Yes,
Would
very brittle.
it would crack on you
Yes.
if you were too rough with it.
Yes, you'll have to do it very carefully.
Now, these are very colorful, and I was wondering, are you using like natural dyes and such for the colors?
It's a plant dye. It's made by the Lauhala people who dye Lauhalas.
Ah.
That's the same dye they use. I added acrylic because of the Lauhala doesn't fade as they would on the gourd, which is a smooth skin. The Lauhala is coarse, so you know.
Well, like all Hawaiian people, you have to use as much of the traditional as you can today, and then you add what's there today. That would be...
That's what exactly what it
In
is.
fact, I think the Hawaiians always used what was there, and you're not going to ignore the fact that we have acrylics and things like that. I think it adds to it in a way. It just shows that everything evolves, including Hawaiian traditions. You know, you don't have to do it the way it was done 1,000 years ago, but you certainly got an effect here. I noticed that some of the... Oh, let's get to the seeds, yeah. Now, that's... If you wanted to plant these seeds, if somebody wanted to grow some gourds, will they grow on the mountains, near the sea, in sandy soil? What would you advise to plant that kind of seed?
It probably would grow on the best at sea level, in a dry area. Kahuku, Waianae, just to give you an idea of the different areas of Pearl City, of warm.
Is there a wet one and a dry one, or just the dry one? Because
just
it's pretty
dry.
wet on the North Shore where we are there.
No, just this one. I think it'll grow in Kahuku quite well. It'll grow anywhere that squash will grow, because it's the same family as a squash.
Right. So when it's growing, is it like green like a squash that
It's
you would
exactly,
see?
that's correct. It's green and it's edible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a bitter taste. Usually Asians are experts on different dishes with eating gourds.
Sure. So you would go ahead and scoop out the meat?
Yes, whatever dish they're going to make,
Did they have any idea, or are you aware of the fact that, I understand the gourd was here when Captain Cook was here. Is it almost indigenous to the Hawaiian Islands, or did they know who brought it here and how long ago?
They didn't know.
They don't know even now.
They don't know, although some research by Dr. Chrisman has indicated that there is what they call the ipunui, which he is spending a lot of time trying to discover.
Doctor who, what was his name again?
Dr. Bruce Chrisman.
Dr. Bruce Chrisman.
Yes.
Is he from the Bishop Museum, or where is he from?
He's a researcher. He does gourds and
Writes
rocks,
books on them and things like that.
Yes.
Yes, I remember seeing an article about he had felt that he had found some of the oldest techniques
Yes,
of design.
he's doing all the techniques, and his work is in the Bishop Museum and the Kamehameha School. They have festivals, you know, and he's part of it. Yes, and I appreciate his knowledge on gourds.
Terrific, because we really feel that the knowledge has to be shared, and we even talked a little bit about that if you had taught any classes and whatnot.
I've gone to, taught several schools the art of ipu pavehi, but it would be the contemporary part, because the traditional is almost lost. Bruce Chrisman is bringing some of this back, and he too, since there were no records kept, is trial and error, trying to find out just how did the Hawaiians do it.
Does Bruce Chrisman actually make gourds himself like you
Yes, he
do?
does. Yes, he
Oh,
does.
I see. That's interesting. Now, I noticed down here, these are really strange looking and beautiful. Whoops. Gotta get it up here. Now, look at that. What is that now exactly?
These are all containers. The ones that have cups, tops on, they're all containers.
And I
This
know
is a different variety of a gourd.
different variety.
Just a different variety, but it's still Labortarians, which grow in the islands.
And I notice here that you have a beautiful hibiscus, which is
I
a
put
flower
that
of
on.
Hawaii, but
That's,
it's still beautifully done.
Yeah, I would call this a contemporary design, and the very top here is contemporary.
Now, when you say, would this thing be edible?
When it's green.
When it's green, it's edible. Now, does it have any medicinal properties that you're aware of, the gourd? Are you into that at all, or haven't you? You're more the designer.
I just design them.
You
yes,
design them, but you're not into the holistic what the gourd is. But you've just become familiar with them because you see that it's such a beautiful design, and people could. This is something if somebody visited the islands, they could take home as something unique, a souvenir that was real, you know, that it was made by Native Hawaiian hands, and it comes from traditions that go back to the beginning of Hawaiian time. Now I notice here, this is the one that I'm most familiar with. This is the one that they usually would use for maybe you play it for us. Or,
oh, yeah. They use a string here because some of them, when they want to hold on, the different sounds.
Yeah, you've learned to use it, I see,
Yeah,
you know.
And they put a cushion on it, and you can dump it. If you just watch that Merry Monarch, you see the big ones. I mean, they're big like this.
Uh-huh. How long does it take to grow those?
This is, gourds are seasonal. This would probably take about 3 or 4 to 5 months.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Well,
seasonal.
That's
It only grows between May and November.
What about the real big ones you're talking about? It's still done in the same 5 months? It's just a matter of what variety of plant it is and if you know how to grow it. Huh?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
So you're actually saying that
I've gone to see some of the fields too in Mexico.
it's a vine,
It's a vine.
and that the best way that it would probably grow here in Hawaii would be almost like on a Quonset hut frame,
Yes.
where
Yes,
the vine would
a trellis.
twirl up the frame, and then the gourds would actually hang,
Yeah.
kind of.
Could just
on
hang
the
there,
vine.
and
Yeah?
you walk underneath the trellis and clip them.
Well, that's Well, I'd actually like to someday go and see that. That would be quite remarkable.
I've seen people here use bamboo. Put 2 bamboos in your tire and let the gourds grow up there.
Once you cut the ipu off the vine, does the vine die? Do you have to?
Yes, it'll die.
Oh,
It'll die.
so I mean, it is a very seasonable
It is
thing.
seasonal.
So
Yes, it is.
you cut it, and then the vine dies. You have to replant and start all over.
Every year you replant. Yeah.
Now-
It's just like squash. You know?
If you had, we'll say, a 1/4 of an acre, an 1/8 of an acre, and you put up the right trellises, how many gourds, in your opinion, could you grow on a 1/4 of an acre?
A 1/4 of an acre, probably, you'd only have about 10 plants because it really takes over your 1/4 of an acre. A backyard, you only have 1 vine.
Well, now that's interesting, but 10
A
plants.
backyard,
Yeah.
it'll take the whole backyard.
10 plants is how many gourds?
It depends now. It depends. Let's go back to the 1 plant, and we can put this in perspective so that you know that how many gourds would survive after you. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
What do you got?
Okay, so if your plant will produce 20 gourds, and when it comes time to pick it, you have to wait till the stem turns brown before you cut it, so that all the nutrients go back into the gourd. Out of the 20, you will lose maybe 4 of them to rot. This is normal. This is
Just what happens.
just what
It's the way it
happens.
happens.
So you'll end up with 16. So you'll cut them off, and you'll hang them in your garage in a well-ventilated area to let them dry. And in the drying process right there is you'll lose another 2 or 3 to rot, or they'll fall down and squash and whatever, they're handling. So you're only going to end up with 10.
That's why nobody grows them here. The amount of difficulties involved by the time you grow them and the flies get to them and they dry, you just don't have any gourds anymore.
That's correct.
But it's a challenge. Maybe somebody can answer that, but
Well, they grow
I guess
in
you're
Kona.
trying.
Yeah, they grow it in Kona, and not very successful, but they still grow it. But, you know, most gourd people need hundreds, thousands of gourds. There's several gourd ipu makers in Honolulu here, Calvin Ho, and that need a lot of gourds.
Oh, of
for his
course.
business.
I've seen their shops and things.
Sure.
They turn a lot of them over, and they can't be home spending all their time to bring 20 gourds out in a
That's
4-month period. That way.
You need many acres and acres of land to grow the gourds. They bring it in just like I do.
Have you actually ever gone to where the gourds are planted
Yes.
and raised? And
Yes, I've seen the fields, and it is, we're talking like 45 acres of just gourds, that's all. And that's how those farmers
Where
make
was
their
it?
living. This was in the Sacramento area. And Tijuana, I saw another field in Tijuana. And,
Who else has an interest in gourds then?
well, the country, Peru is one of the biggest, along with Nigeria. Each of them have their own gourd.